I think this is a good time to mention that this show features adults using adult language, and you have been warned.
Thank you, Joe.
We'll go ahead and do
Sure,
yours.
we'll
I
go
just
with
want to
that.
hear yours. Maybe I can use it as a blooper.
Let me think. Look, you mother. This show is by adults for adults. If you don't like that, stop listening right now. You've been warned.
I don't know if I can use that. Even for a blooper.
Wow.
You asked. I provided.
Wow.
Maybe I can bleep it.
This is HammerCast, episode 22, bringing you your weekly news and discussion about the world of games, smashing buttons, clicking mice, shuffling cards, and rolling dice. Today is Wednesday, August 5th, 2015. My name is Duane Sibley, and I am joined by your hosts, Mr. Todd Chartier and Mr. Joe Hollis. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
I can't complain. Todd?
I'm doing all right. You know, life's as busy and stressful as usual.
Well, when it stops, then, take a look around you because you're dead.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
What have you guys been playing?
Me? I've been playing a lot of Ark lately, and I've been playing some Dragon Age Inquisition because of my new graphics card.
Nice.
So everything runs smoothly now, where before I had to worry about the game crashing all the time. So it's pretty good now. I'm enjoying it. Ark's a lot of fun. I'm running into the problem of the green water, black sky that a lot of people are having issues with. I just noticed there's a patch today, so hopefully they fix that, because that would be nice.
Now, for the folks out there who aren't familiar with Ark, the green water, black sky thing is a bug?
Yes. It's something with C++, because when you repair it, sometimes it fixes the issue. But basically, you log in and the water is green and the sky is just black, even during the daytime. And I haven't been able to get around it. The only way I've been able to fix it is by disabling sky effects completely, but then it's just this washed out bluish sky, and it's no fun.
Oh, that
Sounds
doesn't
like
sound fun at all. Which also does not sound fun at all. Todd, what have you been playing?
I haven't been playing too much. It's been kind of a busy week for me. No travel, thankfully, but other things are happening. I did get to play some City Skylines. Started a new city that I've been playing with a little bit. A little slow going on that. I also played some Heroes of the Storm. And I think we actually raided in WoW last week, which was kind of strange.
Yeah, that was odd.
So everyone's kind of waiting to see what happens tomorrow, but we'll talk about that a little more later.
Right. I, too, have been playing Heroes of the Storm and Cities Skylines, and Joe, at your insistence, I went ahead and picked up Ark last week while it was on sale. I went ahead and fired it up late last night before I went to bed, got incredibly confused, and decided, fuck it, I'll go ahead and tackle this later. So I may pick your brain after the show on exactly how to get myself oriented so I stop dying.
Yeah, I bought that too, but my video card is a little long in the tooth now, so I haven't pulled that trigger. And with everything going on lately, I'm not sure I'm going to do it yet. I'm going to wait until after the big move.
Right. Well, let's jump right into the news. First off, we've got China lifting their ban on video game consoles. China banned the sale of video game consoles in the year 2000 based on their, quote, negative effects on the development of children. The console makers are certainly eager to bring their wares to the Chinese market, but with nearly 15 years of PC-only gaming tradition, will Chinese gamers embrace consoles?
That's interesting. I didn't even know there was a ban.
Yeah.
Tells you how little I follow that.
When I read it, I was like, they had a ban for the last 15 years. I mean, they've still been playing PC games, highly edited, censored PC games, but I didn't know that they couldn't play consoles at all. That was news to me.
I mean, the games are still going to have to be highly censored, I would imagine. That's not going to change. It's just now that consoles are allowed. Yeah, I think, Joe's point was interesting. With them being so deeply entrenched in the PC world, it'll be interesting to see how quickly consoles take off.
Yeah.
If they do at all.
I mean, I think there'll be some uptake just because it's new and fancy, and the Chinese population is starting to actually have money now, but their economy's in the shit. So, who knows how that's all going to affect everything.
Maybe it could take off. Who knows?
We'll find out. Bungie is going to be recasting Destiny's most important character with Nolan North. In their upcoming expansion called The Taken King, Bungie is making loads of changes to both Destiny's gameplay and the immersion. The leveling process has been simplified. Now it'll depend solely on XP instead of the equipment light levels you have. But biggest among the changes is the announcement that the role of Ghost, who was originally played by Game of Thrones actor Peter Dinklage, will be given to gaming industry veteran Nolan North, the voice of Uncharted's Nathan Drake and Assassin's Creed's Desmond Miles. And a whole bunch of other roles, too. In order to prevent a jarring change in voice midway through Destiny's story, Bungie have had North go back and re-record all of Dinklage's dialogue and will replace the performance wholesale when The Taken King launches September 15th. Now, Todd, you've played a little bit of Destiny. Does this seem a little weird to you?
The whole thing seems a little strange to me. I mean, did they not? I didn't read any reason why. They didn't actually post a reason why they got rid of Dinklage, did they?
No. There's been a whole bunch of speculation. It basically boils down into two camps online. One was that after the game's release last year, Dinklage's performance was universally panned. A lot of people thought that he mailed in his voiceover performance, which is neither here nor there. I mean, he could have just been directed to act the way he did, or he could have just not cared. And other folks are saying, well, given how successful Peter Dinklage is now, how desired he is in Hollywood, perhaps for the amount of money Bungie would have paid him to record one expansion worth of voiceover, they could just bring in Nolan North and have him do everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to accept the reasoning that, he just didn't have the emotion or or something like that. Because, I mean, the dude is... He is nailing his role in Game of Thrones. So I find that interesting. I do want to see his new movie Pixel. I've heard terrible things too, but I really, really want to see it. So I'll wait till that comes on video, which the rate it's going will be pretty soon.
Well,
I don't know that I would have found it jarring. I'm a little annoyed that they changed this kind of stuff midway through, but we'll see. I mean, the Desmond voice was pretty good too. So we'll see how he does.
I don't have much of an opinion on the Destiny thing because I haven't really played it. But Pixels. So it's getting bad reviews, but a lot of those movies where it's kind of slapsticky, just crude humor kind of movies always get bad reviews from the critics, and I'll end up usually liking them. So Adam Sandler's in it, so I'm not really surprised that critics are bashing on it, but I'll wait to give my judgment on the movie until I've actually seen it.
It's important to note that it's not just critics who are panning Pixels, it's gamers. Like, gamers are pissed off at this movie, and that's not a good sign. What,
are they getting the roles wrong or something?
No, it's just, it seems like everything is a completely terrible, cheap reference. Let's go ahead and soak this in your childhood nostalgia and get you to pack the seats, and then it doesn't matter what we do in those intervening minutes. Kind of like the Transformers live-action films. They soaked it in Transformers just long enough to get your ass in the chair, and then they made you watch explosions for 2.5 hours with a completely terrible hackneyed story. But anyway, I'm looking forward. And Todd, you're muted. Hi, welcome back.
Did you guys hear me coughing?
No.
I think that gamers tend to get turned off by some of these games because they're like, oh, you're ruining my childhood or some shit like that. They get upset that they're doing that kind of thing to their games and kind of making a quote-unquote mockery out of it. But if you take the movie for what it's worth, I think that it has potential, and, we'll see.
Yeah, I still want to see it. I'm not going to let bad reviews stop me from seeing a movie that looks interesting.
Yeah, fuck those
I look
guys.
forward to your reviews. The Let's see. The Electronic Sports League is going to start testing pro gamers after a doping scandal broke into news. After a confession by a professional Counter-Strike Go player that he and other members of his team used a psychostimulant Adderall during an ESL tournament, they've announced that they will soon begin testing their competitors for doping. They've partnered with the German anti-doping agency NADA as well as the World Anti-Doping Agency to devise an international policy for screening players for performance-enhancing drugs while, quote, respecting the player's privacy. So that was quick. We went from, there being no esports to esports being laughed at to esports making tons and tons of money worldwide, and now they're doping. We've got our first Lance Armstrong. This was pretty much inevitable, right?
Yeah.
What kind of doping are they doing?
Adderall.
Like to keep them awake or make them twitchier or faster or...
Adderall is a psychostimulant usually used in the treatment of ADHD and narcolepsy, and used in this capacity, it can enhance reaction times and focus, which is exactly what you want when you're sitting at a computer playing Twitch games.
I'm tripping balls right now.
I mean, I don't feel bad for the pro gamers who might get kicked out because of using drugs. I mean,
what's next? Deflating mice? I mean, Jesus.
Deflating. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I mean...
the whole thing is kind of funny to me. I'm borderline as to whether or not I consider it a sport that doesn't require you to leave your chair, but...
Neither does NASCAR.
Right,
hey,
but there is a real element of danger in there, at least.
There is an Olympic sport...
Hey, man, the danger of carpal tunnel is real.
I guess.
There is an Olympic sport for brushing ice, so... I mean...
Curling is a thing. You got to be careful saying that around here, Joe. It's actually pretty popular.
Yeah.
I know of 2 curling arenas within 2 miles of here.
Wow. Okay, then.
But I'm saying, like, if that can be a sport, then gaming can be a sport.
I guess. I mean, it's like, I feel like curling is kind of like a full-size version of table, what do they call that, where you have the little pucks that you slide on the table with the sand. Table bowling or some crap like that? I don't know.
I have no idea what this is. You're going to need to dig up a link about this, and we can put it in the show notes.
Dinklish up a link?
You're going to have to dinklage up a link and put it in the show notes. That's now going to be a thing.
I'll dinklage that for you.
Thank you.
They should test for steroids while they're at it, because people might be clicking their mice a little too hard, getting extra powerful shots from clicking their mice harder.
It's true.
Harder, better, faster, stronger. Next up, we've got the Fallout Anthology, which will include the first 5 Fallout games and a tactical nuclear bomb. During QuakeCon last week, Bethesda announced they would be releasing all previous games in the Fallout series in a single $50 package. It includes Fallout, Fallout 2, Fallout Tactics, Fallout 3 Game of the Year, and New Vegas Ultimate Edition. The kicker is that all 5 games come inside a replica Fat Man tactical nuclear weapon that makes, quote, an audible bomb sound, and has extra room within for your forthcoming copy of Fallout 4. The anthology releases here in North America on the 29th of September and in Europe on October 2nd. Now, I'm pretty sure all of us own those games already, but Tactical Nuke, right?
Yeah, it's kind of cool, but I'm trying to get out of this whole trophy thing. I'm trying not to collect trophies anymore.
Right.
I don't want to have to store them. I don't want to have to move them, as cool as they are. I mean, I kind of want it, but I'm going to try to resist.
Can I just say the article, he definitely didn't seem like a fan, the person who wrote that article, because he just kept making references to, they're just a cash grab kind of, cash register cha-ching kind of comments.
Yeah, but it's the best kind of cash grab. Yes, it's $50 for the bundle.
For all the games.
So $10 a game plus a bomb. You get a nuclear bomb for $50 and 5 free games. That's basically the way you look at it.
That doesn't seem like a cash grab to me. I don't think they're making a slew of money on that.
I think it's a pretty cool idea. I won't be getting it because I don't really own physical copies of games anymore, but I think it's a pretty cool idea, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to buy it.
Yeah, I won't even build a computer with a CD drive anymore.
Oh, wow.
I have no need. You can even order Windows 10 on a USB stick. I don't even
Right.
see a CD option anymore.
Fair enough. Square Enix's Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was announced at this year's E3 at the beginning of the summer, will dramatically change gameplay. Director Tetsuya Nomura has indicated that his team at Square Enix, working on the long-awaited update to the 1997 classic, will make, quote, dramatic changes to the game's fights. There hasn't been much detail about what will change, but the mere suggestion has been enough to make Final Fantasy VII fans very nervous. There's a possibility that the gameplay will simply be adjusted to be more appealing and tolerable to a 21st century gamer. After all, Final Fantasy VII became old enough to vote this January. But on the flip side, Square Enix are the same folks who gave us the disappointing Final Fantasy XIII series recently and turned in perhaps the most underwhelming press conference at this year's E3. So, who knows what we're going to get, guys?
Yeah, I could see them adjusting it a little bit. I don't know. I mean, does Final Fantasy VII have this huge following? Is this like the next coming of something?
Yes.
Okay, so, I mean, hopefully they're not going to change it too much, but I could see them updating it a little bit to be more adjusted towards 21st century sensibilities.
Just for reference, there are people who feel the same way about the Final Fantasy VII Remake and have been clamoring for it as long, if not longer, than Line Freeze has been clamoring for Half-Life 3.
And the worst thing is it'll never live up to anybody's expectations, so no matter what, they're going to bitch.
Probably.
Absolutely. Joe, did you ever play Final Fantasy VII?
I did not. No, I played.
Okay.
I started with 8, and I found it in some closing down video game store.
And you played it on a console?
Yeah, I played it on PlayStation.
Yeah, it was a PS1 game.
Sure.
It's definitely worth playing, although I will say, being an 18-year-old game now, it shows its age, both graphically and in gameplay. I tried playing through it the night after the Square Enix conference announced the remake, just to kind of, get myself in the spirit of things for nostalgia's sake, and I couldn't make it more than 3 hours into the game before I was like, oh my god, how did we do this?
Yeah, the other problem is updating the graphics to actually look right on new high-definition displays.
Oh, yeah.
They just really look bad, in my opinion, those old CGA games.
Well, I think they're just completely remaking it, aren't they?
Yeah, they're redoing it from the engine on up. They're basically redoing the scenario in a completely new gaming engine. Well, they're not taking the Final Fantasy VII engine and trying to put a new coat of paint on it. It's simply too old. You can't do that. We're talking about... Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, I think the people who haven't played 7... the original 7 will probably benefit the most from the game, enjoy it the most, because it'll be a new game to them where they get to see the story of Final Fantasy VII, where some people who look nostalgically back at Final Fantasy VII, the original, will probably try to nitpick it a bit and say, this wasn't the same, or I like the way that they did it in the first one better. But
so you kind of they have to take it as a new game. I mean, I think calling it they should have called it something different and just say it's an homage to Final Fantasy VII instead of calling it a Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah.
Right.
In my not so humble opinion.
It's kind of like the books to movies deal. The people who read the book always like the book better than the movie. Just saying.
The book usually is better.
Oh, right. Because you can fit a lot more story into a book than you can a movie.
Blizzard have announced last week that their second PvP expansion for Hearthstone is going to be called the Grand Tournament. This is based loosely on World of Warcraft's Argent Tournament from the Wrath of the Lich King expansion. It'll introduce 132 new cards that will change class balance, introduce new gameplay mechanics, and generally shake up the evolving metagame of Blizzard's CCG. The Grand Tournament launches this month, although a hard release date has not been announced as of this recording. Would this be able to get either of you back into giving the game a try, or are you done with Hearthstone?
It's not so much that I'm done. I just only have so much bandwidth. And, I don't think I get enough enjoyment out of Hearthstone to give it my time. I really enjoy Heroes of the Storm, which is bizarre, because I always said I never would. And, I've been playing Cities, and that's fun. And, there's not much time left after that.
Joe?
And probably even less so over the next few weeks.
Right.
Every once in a while I'll boot it up. I haven't for a while. It just doesn't hold my attention as much as some of the other games that I still want to play. There's just so many games that I still haven't finished because I got distracted with something else, and then I'll go back, start playing them, get distracted by something else again, and
ooh, shiny.
It's a vicious cycle. I still need to finish Inquisition.
Right.
Yeah,
which apparently gets awesome as you get closer to the end.
Yeah.
I don't know where I am on that game.
I keep restarting because I go months without playing, and I'm like, well, I have no idea what I was doing, or I can remember a couple things that I wish I did differently, so I might as well just restart.
Right.
I'm not even sure if I own it.
I'm
pretty sure you do.
Yeah, we played
we did
multiplayer.
a terribly flawed and failed multiplayer attempt
That's right.
months and months ago.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, I guess I do own it. Huh. Noted.
So, Konami's been in the gaming headlines a lot this year, after parting ways in a very public manner with acclaimed designer Hideo Kojima and canceling the long-awaited Silent Hill project with Guillermo del Toro. A profile this week in Nikkei reveals that beneath the big-name departures and cancellations, Konami is an absolutely miserable place to work. Divided by suspicion and afflicted with low morale, the company monitors their employees with closed-circuit cameras, reassigns developers to menial labor when they're deemed no longer useful, and workers who aren't completely prompt when finishing their lunch breaks are shamed publicly to their co-workers. I'm going to go submit an application for this joint right away because I want to go work for Konami now.
Couldn't you change out the word Konami for EA, and it's pretty much the same thing?
Probably. Depends on which studio for EA you work
That's
for.
true. I guess they've actually gotten a little better, or at least some of the sub-studios have gotten a little better over time.
Right.
I mean, so this is a Japanese company, I assume, right?
Yes.
What are they taking?
Konami was the publisher for Silent Hill, Metal Gear Solid, and a whole bunch of other old stuff.
Are they taking cues from Chinese factories? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, who knows? It's just, they are in a bad way.
Their shift in strategy, too, I'm sure is turning a lot of people off, especially employees who are people tend to get real passionate in Japan about the stuff they work on. So I wonder if this shift to mobile is just kind of like, fuck you.
Right.
Are they still working on Metal Gear Solid 5?
Yeah,
they
it's
are.
up to $80 million.
Yeah, they've dumped $80 million so far into that project, and it's still not done.
If that doesn't release, I think they're done. Because that's like the only game people are looking forward to from them. Words.
Well, I guess they said they put out a mobile game that was extremely successful. I don't remember the name of it.
Didn't
Yeah.
We'll have to find that.
It was in that article. I just don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But and that was what kind of made them think that mobile was the next way to go. So it could be they just shut down Metal Gear and just cut their losses and focus on mobile. I mean, that'll just suck the souls out of the rest of the employees.
Oh,
yep.
Speaking of mobile games, I noticed something interesting viewing comments and everything about what is the game called? The Vault game.
Yep.
What is it called?
Vault Keeper or something like that?
No.
You're talking about the
Fallout game.
Fallout
Shelter.
Yes, that's it.
Oh, Fallout Shelter, yes.
Apparently it doesn't have a very long shelf life, I guess. People get bored with it after you hit 100 vault people in
Vault Dwellers.
Vault Dwellers. So yeah, that's interesting. I guess a lot of people aren't really playing. Like, a lot of people downloaded it and played it, but it doesn't really hold long, and people are talking about new content that might possibly be coming out soon.
Well, with how much money they've made,
games,
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, those type of games don't typically hold you for very long, which is part of the reason why they're usually subject to the kind of scummy free-to-start mechanics, like limiting how much you can play unless you're willing to give them money, because that's how they keep you from hitting the end wall very, very quickly. It's like, okay, either you're going to slow down or you're going to pay up for the privilege of finishing the game before everybody else.
Who knows? Maybe the new content that they're coming out with, you'll have to pay $5 for or something.
You know, after all of the effort Bethesda went through to, publicize the fact that, hey, we're going to put out a mobile game and it's going to be completely free to play. And no, there won't be any of that scummy gating or timing business that other people do. That would be really weird if they went back on that and said, okay, well, now with this next update, we're going to be scummy again.
Well, if it lets them sell more of those chests or whatever the hell they were selling, then that would be a good model, in my opinion. I mean, not,
I don't know,
not charging
plenty of them already.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. But if this allows them to keep selling more of those things to people, then, it seems like it's money well spent to develop some more of the game.
Yeah.
And not charge for the expansion directly.
Right. I forgot about how much they actually sold from the in-game store.
Wasn't it gazillions?
It was 5.1 million in 2 weeks' time after E3.
That's a lot.
So
we're now 2 months later, so I wonder what it's up to now.
Yeah. So this is as good a time as any to remind you that HammerCast is brought to you by the Hammer gaming community. We're an adults-only group of gamers from across North America and Europe that play all sorts of games together. The Hammer's been around since 2007, starting as an MMO guild, expanding into a full community of gamers with our own forums, Minecraft server, and the podcast you're listening to or watching right now. You can check us out at hammergaming.com.
.com.
Windows 10 has been installed on 14 million devices already. Well, that was as of the first day. Microsoft is still continuing to roll out Windows 10 in phases, but they were not shy about bragging that their new flagship operating system was installed on 14 million devices in the first 24 hours of worldwide availability. I was one.
Yeah, I wasn't day one, but I did it last weekend.
I haven't done it yet.
It was interesting. It was about a 3-hour ordeal, not to install the thing. Installing it took about an hour, but the next 2 hours were basically just trying to coerce my machine back into behaving the way I wanted it to. Microsoft takes a few liberties with changing your settings and defaults after Windows 10 installs, and for those of you who don't like the defaults, it's going to take you a little bit to get in there and undo their nefarious do's. So, Todd, you're on Windows 10. How about you, Joe?
No.
No, not yet? What are you on? Still on 7?
Yes. I haven't made the leap yet. Though I did clear off the space on my C drive to install it. I had to uninstall World of Warcraft and put it on my other drive. Found a whole bunch of games on my D drive that were taking up a lot of space that I wasn't playing anymore, so I
got rid of those.
Did some late spring cleaning of my computer.
I feel like as part of this, we should talk about some of the gotchas with Windows 10.
What in specific did you have in mind?
Like the forced updates and some of the little pay-to-play sort of features and, some of that stuff.
Yeah, the pay-to-play stuff is kind of shitty. I don't really mind the forced updating because that keeps people who... It's like vaccinations. It keeps the herd protected. But, this whole thing with having to pay to not see ads while playing solitaire, man, if this was 25 years ago, my mother would be throwing things right now. That's all I have to say. That doing this kind of shit with solitaire is scummy in the extreme. But
especially solitaire. It's like if you want to see it without ads, it's $10 a year. I mean, really?
Yeah,
that
fuck
seems
you, Microsoft.
Kind of crappy. And my concern is this is just the very, very tip of the iceberg. And I'm wondering, as we start to use it more, we realize what new things are like that. And they've been very unclear as to what is part of the base operating. So, like, what do we actually have that they can't just turn around and disable and then try to charge us for it?
Right. We're very quickly getting to a point where it's going to be Windows as a service.
Well, that's how they're touting it. I mean, that's kind of the way Microsoft is thinking of it now. So, I think it is very much that. And, this whole thing with Windows, the DVD player thing, which you get for free if you're upgrading from Windows 7. But if you ever do a fresh install back to Windows 8, you don't get it and you have to pay for it and it's not cheap. So, that's kind of shitty. I'm thinking of just buying a retail pro license just so I have it and I can reinstall fresh. I don't know. It's, the operating system's fine. It's been working fine on my computer. I do have a lot of orphaned objects and things like that are a little disturbing to see that it didn't know what to do with when it updated. But, I don't know. I'm still a little on the fence about it all.
I'm okay with the DVD player because, well, fuck their DVD player. I've been using VLC for like 10 years. It's free. It's open source. It does everything I need it to do. So
every once in a while. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead, Joe.
Every once in a while, I accidentally launch the Windows Media Player, and I haven't set it up or anything. So I just get that screen that pops up saying like the license information. I close it, launch VLC.
I mean, at any point, Windows could say, no, screw you, VLC.
Yeah, but they've already allowed VLC into their Windows store. You can go into the Windows 10 store right now and put it on your machine direct from Microsoft servers. So yeah. I don't think they're interested in stopping them, at least not yet.
Right.
Rob Pardo, formerly Chief Creative Officer at Blizzard Entertainment, and a guy with a pretty strong MMO pedigree, thinks that the success of World of Warcraft has spooked the industry away from using the term MMO. In the nearly 11 years since its launch, World of Warcraft has become synonymous with the MMO genre and has handily marginalized all direct competitors for over a decade. He cited Bungie's Destiny as an example, saying that games that are legitimately MMOs go out of their way to not be called MMOs because of the baggage that comes along with that label. Any MMO released today draws direct comparisons to WoW's 800-pound gorilla and has to compete with over a decade of development and player investment, or disgust from former players who don't like the game anymore. So what's with this? Are we not going to see actual MMOs called MMOs anymore?
I think that 80% of all games coming out are going to be MMOs, and we're just going to call them games.
Yeah. I mean, I've never heard Ark called an MMO, but, 70 people can play at a time.
On a single server?
On a single server.
God, how beefy does that thing need to be?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know that it would be, if it's better written, I don't know that it would be any more difficult than a Minecraft server.
I was looking at the documentation early this morning before I started work about how to run a dedicated Ark server, and they're talking about you needing like 3 gigs of RAM just to start the damn thing. And that's before you log any users in.
Any modded Minecraft server needs at least 8 gigs to even be reputable.
I do know hosting a LAN server. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't load the entire world. It's kind of like playing single player where only a part of the map is loaded at a time if you're not playing on a public server. Mm-hmm. And when you allow people to join you, the people who join you can only run about 200 yards away from you before they hit an invisible wall and are stuck to the host. So that's how they kind of get around having a separate dedicated server and letting people play locally so that they can still play with friends and not require as much, RAM and all that. They don't have to load the entire world for everybody and kill their computers doing so. They can just have them stay in the general area of everybody else.
Yeah, and that's why Minecraft came up with the chunk concept.
Yeah.
Now, if you do run a dedicated server, those limits are not in place, right? So
no,
you and I could be on opposite ends of the island and it wouldn't matter.
It's a very big island, too.
It is a very big island from what I saw.
And are they all the same, or are they randomly generated?
They're all the same, but the workshop has editors, and people have made their own maps and stuff, so you can load up whatever map you want on a dedicated server.
DE Dust.
DE Dust? No.
Ark on DE Dust. Dust with dinosaurs, bitches. No? No?
Counter-Strike, no.
You guys don't know a visionary when you see one.
No. Aztec or nothing.
I understand all the words, but when you put them together like this, I don't get it.
I used to play Counter-Strike a long time ago. I haven't played CSGO or Counter-Strike Source or anything.
Yeah, neither have I. Last time I played Counter-Strike, it was before Valve bought them.
Right. It was just a mod somebody made.
Right. The good old days. Gamer peripheral manufacturer Razer have acquired beleaguered game console maker Hooyah. The terms of the deal have not been disclosed. Hooyah started as a crowd-funded Android-based game console that retailed for $100 and raised $8.5 million via Kickstarter. Despite that enthusiastic start, the company had a hard time selling their product after the initial interest died down, mostly because while the console itself was interesting, their controller was completely ass. In February, we talked on HammerCast episode 2 about them taking a $10 million investment round from Chinese e-commerce company Alibaba. And on episode 12 in April, we discovered that they were aggressively seeking a buyer. Well, Razer has swooped in and taken over. They are not retaining interest in Hooyah hardware, but will be taking on the Hooyah brand, their software, and their digital storefront. These moves seem to indicate that Razer is positioning themselves to become a player in the Android gaming ecosystem.
That's an interesting purchase to me. It seems like they could have built their own for less than, well, unless they paid pennies on the dollar, but...
Yeah, they must have gotten a great fire sale deal.
Maybe. But I'm not sure I really get that concept. I like the whole, the way Steam is approaching it with the Steam streaming box thing that just does it from your main PC to your TV. I think that's a better concept than trying to cram all this horsepower into a little tiny box. I mean, we're just not there yet. And, or putting a full-size PC under your TV, which is pretty close to what an Xbox and a PlayStation is, but... I don't know that was a great purchase for Razer. I mean, they definitely have the peripherals to beef up the offering, but I'm not sure. I mean, if they got it cheap, then great. And it is good that they're going to honor all the old commitments that Hooyah made. So, yeah, yay for that.
Yeah, that was a big thing. That was actually our next story. Hooyah had a Free the Games fund that promised some $1 million in matching funds for independent game developers who brought their titles over to Hooyah's hardware. When they were acquired by Razer last week, nearly half the developers enrolled in the fund were left high and dry, as Hooyah's poor financial situation left them with none of their promised payments. Initially, Razer stated that they would not honor pre-existing commitments made by the Free the Games fund because Hooyah, quote, no longer existed. After a day of widespread criticism from indie game studios and their fans, the company relented and made plans to make good on the Free the Games fund by allowing developers to sign a new contract to bring their games to Razer's Cortex storefront, which is what they've renamed the original Hooyah storefront.
Just put it on fucking Steam.
Right?
I don't know how anybody's going to try competing with Steam. I don't know how anyone's going to try competing with Steam as a content delivery system right now. I mean, they're like the World of Warcraft of content delivery.
Well, so long as Steam keeps taking their, 30%?
Is that what it is?
Thereabouts. So long as they keep taking their 30%, people who are big enough, like the Razers and the EAs and the Ubisofts of the world, are going to say, well, fine, we're going to take our balls and go home.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you have a product people will still buy regardless of the delivery, then sure.
Right.
But I'm pretty turned off by Origin, let me tell you.
Yeah, Origin and Uplay kind of suck.
Oh, Uplay is the worst.
Origin offers free games every once in a while, though. I just got, I can't remember the name of it. It was like some tiki...
It was so good you can't remember.
Whenever they offer the free game, I take it. I mean... I don't install them. I just take it because it's like, add to my library, sure.
So, speaking of free games, Joe, PlayStation Plus, which is Sony's console membership service for online multiplayer and discounted games, makes 6 games available for free every month for their subscribers, 2 each for PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and PS Vita products. As long as you keep up your $60 a year subscription, you retain access to every free game you've redeemed for as long as you've been a member. Soon, Sony will be launching what they're calling their Vote to Play initiative, allowing subscribers to vote for which games they'd like to see offered for free in the next month. The polls will not be run every month, and subscribers will be voting from a narrow pool of possible games, not the full console libraries. The games that do not win the vote will be made available that month at a discounted price to PS Plus members, which is kind of neat. When I first saw this, I didn't realize that it was going to be voting from a pool. I thought it was going to be voting from the entire console library, and I was like, oh god, this is going to be terrible, because it's going to be all Call of Duty all the fucking time. But I'm glad that Sony's going to be forcing some variety by limiting the the candidates.
Like, it kind of seems like they're taking a page from the Steam summer sales, where they have games that people can vote on for the daily sales. Remember?
Right.
Yeah, they have like 3 games that you can vote on, and the one that wins gets the discount the next day. But this is a free game, so I guess it's a step up from the Steam summer sale daily thing.
A little bit.
They didn't do that voting thing for the holiday sale this year, did they?
No, they had that game, the clicker game on Steam, and the more clicks, more bosses killed and everything, the more games that got unlocked.
Right. This one was brought to our attention by friend of the show, Erica Jonell. The week-long speedrun event Summer Games Done Quick ended last weekend and raised over $1.2 million for charity, with an average donation of about $43. Some of the world's best speedrunners took out 160 games in front of a crowd of 1,200 attendees and millions more via Twitch. All of their speedruns are currently available on the Games Done Quick YouTube channel, which we'll go ahead and link in the show notes. Did you guys catch any of this?
No. I didn't realize it was going on. I probably would have watched some of it. I got distracted by all the Ark stuff that happened over the past week.
Which you should talk about.
Yeah.
What happened in Ark?
Well, they had a Survival of the Fittest tournament. 70 players, I think it was. All on teams of 2. So I think 35 teams. So the first thing you noticed is that a couple teams teamed up in the very beginning, and like this guy, Mr. Moon, and another group. So they're a team of
Joe,
4.
Why don't we back up and talk about the format?
Okay.
I know you were completely unprepared for this, so just wing it.
Right.
No pressure, just vamp.
So think of Hunger Games. They kind of did it in that format. Once you die, you're out. So Ark is a survival game. Everybody landed at a starting point. There was a bunch of stuff in the middle. You either decide to run to the middle and try to get what loot was in there, which was some pretty good stuff, or you turn around and jump off the cliff and run away, because they reduce fall damage. Then it was just survival. Run away from the dinosaurs, run away from other people if they had bigger weapons than you, and last person alive wins. Vamp.
I'm your teleprompter. I'm telling you to vamp.
Got it.
I don't know what vamp means.
It's improvise.
Got it.
It was interesting. There were people taming dinosaurs. There were people who managed to get bows and arrows with tranquilizers on them right away.
And can you trank other people?
Yes. But
can you trank them and then drag their body away?
Yes.
Hey,
That's
man,
awesome.
why'd you shoot
So you could
me?
you could trank somebody.
Sticky?
And in the very beginning, nobody had stim berries or anything, or stimulants to wake themselves up. So you could basically trank somebody, drag them over to the water, and leave them to drown if you wanted to. But usually they just hatchet them to death after they tranked them. So eventually, teams were formed.
As you do.
There was this team of 6 running around, but they got completely decimated by... So on the stream, they had votes, like, what do you want to see happen? And one of them was this carnivore drop. And every player had a Spinosaurus dropped on their head.
Oh, God.
And
that's terrible.
So there was a group of 6 people all together. So 6 Spinosauruses dropped on top of their heads. And you just see, when somebody died, the name flashed across the top of the screen, and in the sky, just like Hunger Games style, was their face and how they died. And if their team was eliminated, it showed their entire team eliminated. And it was a lot of fun to watch. And I'm still going through and watching. There's a website with all the links to the streamers' pages, and I could probably dig up that link to the wiki if people want to watch them.
That's a concept that they could continue, because I would pay, Hammer Gaming would sponsor things in that event to have give certain teams bonuses or do bad things to other teams. That would be, like they did in Hunger Games.
Like you have a airdrop of medicine if somebody's dying or something.
Right, exactly. That would be fun to watch and manipulate a game. I bet you they could raise some serious money that way, too.
And now it's time for the Carnivore Drop, brought to you by Hammer Gaming.
Yes, that is something I would be proud to have my name on.
I was going to say it's not going to be long before you start seeing that with sponsored teams going in, like an NVIDIA team of 2.
The Curse team.
But they already kind of did that because the only people who could get into this tournament were big-name streamers. And a requirement to play was that you had to be streaming while you played. And, all those people are sponsored by people, so it already was sponsored. So
it was a really great promotion, if you want my opinion, for the game. I bet you I'd love to see the numbers and the sales of games around that event.
Well, they timed it around a sale, which I bought the game the day before. So that was cool.
See, you guys need to tell me when these things happen. I had no idea there was even a tourney going. I would have watched some of that.
See, the issue was that they didn't do a very good job of focusing on the action on the main stream, like the spectator point. They admitted they have a lot of things that they need to do better the next time that they do it. Mm-hmm. So the best experience that you're going to get out of it is by, picking a couple streamers who, I don't know, you like the name of or something, or
and following them.
Right.
They need to have like 100 spectators in there just for video camera reasons.
Cameramen.
Yeah.
Like one thing I did was I found the person who died first, which was about 10 seconds into the stream. So I found his stream, watched his point of view, and from his point of view, he ran to the center, picked up a couple good items, started running away, ran out of stamina, went to equip one of the items he picked up, and died. Like, just immediately died. So I found the person who killed him, watched his stream, and his view is he just walks up behind this guy just standing there and shoots him in the back of the head, and then continues on his merry way.
Wow.
It was an interesting concept. I think it was pretty well done.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of cool, and I hope they continue it because it'd be fun to watch. And it's just the beginning of the end.
Right. I said to somebody, this is the beginning of real Hunger Games. You mark my words.
Yep. And if you're interested in playing a real-life Hunger Games, you can go ahead and find Ark on Steam. Speaking of Steam, last week there was a rather glaring security hole discovered in Valve's gaming service. One could bypass account security via the password change feature and gain access to a user's account using only their username. The SteamGuard two-factor authentication service protected users from the exploit altogether if you had it enabled, but until Valve patched the issue, which was pretty prompt, a number of user accounts may have been compromised. Did either of you get a suspicious-looking email from Steam in the last week about a password change?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Because if you did, this was probably why.
I gotta make sure I have two-factor turned on mine.
I also have the two-factor turned on, so even if they changed my password, they wouldn't be able to log in without the code.
Right. Well, that's good. So if you're out there and you're listening or watching and you're on Steam and you don't have SteamGuard turned on, go do it right now. Pause the show. We'll be here when you get back. Go turn on SteamGuard on your account.
But come back.
And yeah, but come back because we like you.
Baby, come back.
We do this for you, not to hear our own voices.
I do it to hear my own voice.
I get SteamGuard codes, but to my email, so they'd have to get my email also.
Yep, and I have what is it called? 2 times authentication on my email too. So
yeah, so good luck.
And that's a text message, so you'd have to have my phone.
So World of Warcraft's 6th expansion, which we mentioned at the top of the show, will be announced tomorrow, August 6th, at Gamescom in Germany. So as you're listening to this tomorrow morning, you might actually be ahead of us. You'll know what the expansion is. But Blizzard surprised many watchers by deciding to announce the new content at Gamescom and not at their own event, BlizzCon 2015, this coming November. The surprise has led some to speculate that Blizzard has achieved its long-stated goal of yearly expansions for World of Warcraft and intends to release Expansion 6 this holiday season. There's been no official comment from Blizzard on this, but what do you guys think?
I think all the numbers line up. It makes sense. where are we in the story, the current story of whatever the hell we're playing now?
It's wrapping up.
When you finish the current raid, the Hellfire Citadel raid, you're at the end of the storyline for Warlords of Draenor, so we're there. Last time we got to the end of the storyline in Pandaria, and it was a solid 18 months from then until the next expansion drop. So this would be a very quick turnaround by Blizzard terms.
Yeah, I would think they're going to have 2 teams working on them, kind of in parallel almost.
Like an A and a B team.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like what they do with Call of Duty to maintain yearly releases. They have 2 separate studios working on every other Call of Duty game so that they can hit a yearly release.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
But yeah, I think that they have to release something soon because I'm already bored with the game. I know a lot of other people are bored. There just wasn't enough content in the latest patch to keep me interested longer. There's the LFR, but once I've done that, I've finished all of that content too, so...
I'll be honest, I think I'm just kind of getting jaded again on World of Warcraft in general. They've definitely showed this particular expansion cycle that their answer to every problem is another grind. And,
Yeah.
I feel like they're not trying to innovate anymore. They did some interesting things in Pandaria, which I really enjoyed, and that had a lot of staying power because of that. But I think Draenor has pretty much been a lot of the same, and it's just, grind on top of grind on top of grind. And I will tolerate a certain measure of grind, which is why I don't have the antibodies to resist an MMO in the first place. But this is too much. I am cataclysm levels of jaded and frustrated with the game.
Well, when I saw a new zone coming out, I pictured, all the other zones had a ton of quests to keep you busy for a long time. And I was picturing a lot of the same. I'd be able to quest through the entire zone, get some of my reputations up just through questing. But once you finish the introduction to the zone, and one more
quest...
Which
takes 20 minutes.
Right, and one more quest that kind of walks you around to all of the different flight points. That's it. Now it's daily quests.
It's dailies all day long. You know what they did? They looked at how successful the Timeless Isle was in Pandaria and said, hey, we can do that again, but make it bigger, guys.
Yeah.
And they didn't realize that just wasn't going to cut it this time.
I think the Timeless Isle worked because it was so small. I think because everything was so compact, you could get everything done really quickly and be on your way.
Right.
But with it being so big, now you've got to run for 20 minutes across the zone or up a mountain and sit and wait for stuff to spawn. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you all know my feeling on dailies and how I detest them.
Yeah, you're allergic to them.
Yeah, it's worse than that. But I will occasionally log in to just redo my my missions if I have nothing else to do. But other than logging in to raid with the group, which is the only reason I would do that, I won't even really launch WoW. I still pay for it, so I guess they're winning at the end of the day. Yeah. But that's where we are. And maybe I'll shut down my account for a few months while I leave, while I'm moving and everything. But we'll see.
All right. Well, that'll be it for this week. Thank you, guys, and thank you for everyone for tuning in. HammerGaming.com/HammerCast/22 is where you can find show notes for this episode. We're going on a bit of a hiatus after this. I'm on vacation next week, and the following week, both Todd and I will be away on business. However, we invite you to keep an eye on our Hammer Gaming community YouTube and Twitch streamers, and follow us on Twitter. We're at Hammer Gaming, all one word. Follow us, and you can get updates on when the next episode will be available, as well as other news from the Hammer Gaming community. Todd, where can people find you online?
I can be found at Dregger, DREGG0R, on the Twitters.
And Joe?
They can find me DAZIK. I spelled that right? Dazik, DAZIK. Yeah, okay. On Twitter.
It's Dazik LP.
Dazik LP. Right.
Doesn't even know his own name.
Screwed it up. Wow. Dazik LP, DAZIK LP on Twitter.
Get some sleep, Joe. And I am. There you go. I am Valthonis over on Twitter. That's VALTHONIS. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
We are not sponsored by Starbucks.
Bye, everybody. Thumbs up and fuck on.